I'm a fan of the region. As I said, Brazil elevated themselves, getting some additional heat play going in there from the Rage, but the games are ready to go. Enough from me. We'll throw it on over to these five gentlemen as we go down under to South America and we begin their very first heat. Monster, Z, take it away, guys.
Let's do it, baby. It's time to hop into BR. I cannot wait. Well, Brazil, actually, let's be more specific.
This is a dope region. You know, we constantly see new things coming out of Brazil, new players that show up, but then we see a lot, like you said, Monster, a lot of consistencies. The C9 Drakons, Blackouts, Nyx, the Red Trio. There's so much talent, raw talent in Brazil, and this is for me another region that we just haven't quite seen like their full potential, right? I think there could be some upsets coming out of Brazil this weekend.
Oh, without a doubt. This weekend's really going to shine the light on the region as a whole, and that's what we've been wanting for a while. The World Cup kind of series really took off for them, and we got to see some rising stars, but it really wasn't enough. This region as a whole now getting much more, I guess, recognition, and that is what we want to kind of just let unfold here and let that story speak for itself. But jumping into the game, we're looking at Snobby Shores area. We haven't quite seen much of today specifically. We have Choi, Hype, and Sitnoff here setting up for a battle. And there's a team here. And look at the way they landed. They landed right in the middle. The other squad is poised up just outside from both angles here, Zeke.
This is going to mean there's quite a bit of loot disparity for this trio that landed in this one house, right? Because top side, you got that one person in the solo house. All that loot is his. The duo below them, there's a little less loot in that abandoned house, but now they can kind of go for the pincer attack. So the guys in the middle, they just have to push, right? They have to say, we're going either north or we're going south. We just have to try and make something happen. I like the Choi.
It's actually a 2v1 on both sides right here as both teams are collapsing on the players respectively. You can just see Hyped is in a battle of his own. Sipnov and Choi have to get this exchange off here or it's going to spell trouble for them. Hype's already fell down. If they don't close this battle out soon, the other trio is going to rotate in really quickly.
They need to down this player now because they are starting their move. If you watch the minimap, we've already got this enemy trio. They're starting to close in. This other enemy just has to buy enough time. They're doing a great job of it as well, just keeping the builds away. We even hear a shockwave ring out, so they are closing in on Choi and Sitnoff. They will drop one of the players. Looks like okay, so they drop RDWA. Yeah, then the mats are going to be important, but again, there's not much in the way of the loot. Still with the infantry rifle, the attack is going to be what he relies on. Ooh, great pickup here in the tactical SMG. There's going to be quite a bit of burst damage here in the beginning of the game.
Oh boy, it's Emmerich who gets chipped off by Sitnoff right there, who's biding time, playing nice and patient, and now suddenly he can also see the toes right there. He can see Poseidon. Oh wait, he actually doesn't quite notice him just under that build right there, but Sitnoff gets the siphon off, so now he's got the health. Wait, is Sitnoff going to take the shot? He should be able to see it. There it is. He did miss, unfortunately. He tries to go for a quick peek there. A nice little ramp pivot. He's going to keep this player alive here. So Poseidon has to make a big move. If he doesn't, he's going to spell trouble here for himself. There it is. He's got to commit to this battle. Couldn't quite get the trade off there. And Choi, Sitnoff and Hype walk away victorious. But all because they got collapsed on. It was almost the end for them. That battle was kind of extended for a second there. They were building off. It wasn't looking like it was going to go in their favor for a second there.
Yeah, hopefully they can get Hyped card. That way they can try and play for a reboot, but it just depends on kind of what the rotation looks like. It might be unlikely depending on the situation they find themselves in later. Now take a look. They are pretty close to the next zone. So there is a possibility, but I don't know, man. It's not looking great.
No, they're fine. They're fine. Remember, everything is just getting kicked off here. So Sitnoff I think he used the shockwave to pick up that card. Now they're just getting their farm on before they move over to this reboot van here. And they actually have somewhat of a favorable zone here because the next zone is only pushing just east of them. So they'll be okay. You can see a little bit of a snippet there. They should be able to get this res off no problem, and that's going to wrap up this battle here in Snobby.
It's going to be pretty good for them. At least we hope so. But of course, as always, there's action happening all over the map. Up on Viking Village, we can see another trio here. So Cab was actually sitting on the mountain. If you were watching the minimap, he was actually looking down on them as that whole fight happened. He could have potentially gone for a heavy snipe, but they were on the back half of the Snobby houses, so there's like really not great line of sights for that. But I mean, his loadout's looking pretty good for this early game. And again, he's not that far from rotation. It looks like a little bit of a split drop there. So one of his trios, excuse me. Would you call, if you're talking about a trio, and you're talking about one of the three, would you refer to the other two as the duo? Because then it just sounds weird. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I struggle with it a little bit. Sometimes I do a little bit of both just to play it safe. But it does roll off really naturally, right? When you say his duos,
Yeah.
Because like those are like his.
But then I don't like to confuse people.
duo,
These
it's
are
a
the things that genuinely keep me up at night. Is how do I best communicate to viewers what's happening? Real talk, real talk. Anyway, though, we got two of these trios coming together. They've reformed. It looks like there's actually shockwaves. All right, so
Yep,
a nice stack of 6. That's what you like to see.
Right into the inventory. Yeah, he's capped out here, and there's extra splashes there, so their teammate Novice should be able to kind of pick those up for them. And this is one of the splits I like about the Viking village. It hasn't changed. You get that Shambles house. You get the two house on the coast. Sometimes you even get the crack shot house over at the Frosty Flights area. So there's a lot of opportunity for loot here if you play off the Viking area, especially if you split up and it's uncontested. And that's why their loadouts are so nice right now. They actually had a fair amount of loot split between themselves. So now looking to rotate just outside of Greasy. You hear the music going off. Cavs is just keeping eyes on it, seeing if he can catch a peek or something.
I mean, he does have the heavy snipe, so if he does get eyes on someone, he could very well drop them, especially in taco time, right? Because you're kind of you're dancing, right? You're gaining back that HP. Potentially, if you get lucky and you go ahead and grab one of those tacos first, remember you get that extra movement speed, so you can be running around at max speed. There is potentially find some foraged items. We have eyes on targets.
I love it. Cavs marked him out, so he's probably going to wait until one of these guys try and take a consumable. Looks like he has eyes on this first player out front. That's a nice spot. Can he line him up here? Doesn't look like he's going to... Oh, he does connect and follow up with the perfect 2-shot AR follow-up. It was actually really clean, too, right? The angle that he had, the wall just wasn't enough. The reaction was swift. It was quick. He got hit. He threw a wall up, but he was at just the perfect side angle. And that's why you have to box up all of your sides here. Even with the shield bubbles coming down now, the fight is going to happen here. They're going to collapse. Love how Cavs is taking the wide angle here, looking for all eyes on sight. He knows the revive isn't quite happening yet because he can see one of the players in front of him waiting for his team, playing super patient here. And actually, I lied.
Yeah,
the revive did go off.
Yeah, I was going to say,
the shield bubble.
Once the shield bubble did come out, they should have immediately gone for the revive because that would have been the best play, right? Because you know they have to make it inside your bubble if they hope to do damage.
Ooh,
the revive did come out.
Explode action right there. That's a lot of pressure right here, Zeke.
More explodes are just going to kind of fracture builds all the way around. Right now, Novice is just trying to get shots out. Now, they will find Wendell here in the crossfire. So now it is a 2v1 right now. And just looking at the HP bars on the left, look at that. Gubu and Wendell are down. One player tried to shockwave out. That is Trimbala. It's not looking good because right now Cavs is on the offensive. Another shockwave used on both ends. Now, keep in mind, he does also have the heavy sniper. So if he gets too far or he has an angle, he could go for the heavy snipe. But I like that he's saying, look, you know what? We've got two. We don't know who else is around us. We've been making quite a bit of noise. We just need to take what we've got and let this guy go. It doesn't matter. It's better to just kind of hunker down, find their loot, and reassess, and chase something down and potentially be picked off by a third party, right?
100%. That was a great disengage right there. Just says, you know what? You can get away with your life. You're probably not going to make it far anyways, being by yourself in this trio format. But they did not expend a lot at all either. And mainly because Cavs just played the patient. He waited for his team to come up. He knew that they had the advantage, and they got there just in the nick of time, especially with that double slow. That pressure was just ridiculous. There was no way they were going to get out of there alive. So lovely, lovely engagement for them. Now we're hopping over to the other side of the map here. We're back center map just under the meteor. There are players all over the place at factories, the divot, or I should say the dusty depots. Here you have this team just rotating across the middle, trying to find their way to zone right now.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the minimap for just a moment, so we know it's not completely cluttered just yet, so they will kind of have a moment where they can kind of decide the rotation, but just watch this lower minimap, right? So we have this information. They don't. So we know there's a trio up on their left that they're moving directly toward, that are making their way around this current little mountain, and then there's one already posted up in the house just north of there. It's smart that they're going up because it's going to give them more kind of like an Overwatch style, right? Like they can kind of look around and say, what is going on as far as the eye can see? The trio there was on the left. It was the blue triangles we see. So right now, the current safe zone is around Loot Lake. So it depends on kind of where we go from here because they could use that in Infinite Rift inside the Shattering Dome there. But I don't think that's always the best play because you either have like a lot of people going for that, or you can just kind of rift out in strange positions and like potentially take a bunch of storm damage. We'll have to see. Is that a person standing still? Were they gargoyling?
Yeah, they opened up that cone there, trying to look for some shots, and that heavy sniper came out real quick. He was trying to see if he can find one here. Remember, they're only just a couple. Okay, so one of them managed to hit a tag off, and that one's going to be another tag right there. It's going to catch him a full knock. Remember, Storm Surge is in effect here. We're looking at Brazil, Heat 1, Game 1. These lobbies are usually the first couple, maybe the first 3 games are the most passive, right? That's why we're seeing Storm Surge. 80 players remaining on this rotation here. 300 damage now above the threshold. So that one elim right there was crucial to keeping them in the game and keeping them safe for that matter.
Yeah, man. A little more loot to kind of divvy out to your trio. We do have other sets of trios, though, very close. We got one straight across the way, some closer on those little islands around Loot Lake. There's even a trio right behind them that looks like they might have eyes on them trying to close the gap. And there's a supply drop that just happened to hit the map, so maybe they could try to contest that. I don't know. Feels very dangerous. Look, another trio coming in from the bottom right around that mountain. So again, man, we're sitting on 78 players in the lobby. This is insane, right? Because right now, you're trying to get a feel for the games. You're trying to see, like, okay, where am I landing? Am I having people being contesting me? Because remember, these are dedicated games, right? So these are heats. Just in case you weren't familiar with the format or anything like that, these are players have worked really hard to make it into these heats. There's an amount of heats per region, and there's kind of like, you know who's going to be in your heat, right? So if you're someone that's like, look, I've been playing against this enemy trio this entire time. I know they always go retail row. And if you decide I have to go retail row as well, that's going to be like information you have beforehand, but then you have to like figure out, are we trying to fight those guys? Do we need to change our plans? Like, what do we want to do here?
Yeah, that's one of the perks of knowing exactly who's in your lobby, and one of the cons too, right? Because then at that point, other teams that just prepare better can set up these huge counter strats to you and your team per se. But don't forget, guys, again, right now Storm Surge should be absolutely in effect right here. 75 players remaining. The Zone 3 is already revealed, and that's why you see the kind of shots coming out here. This is desperate here. Only 50 damage above the threshold. Nice knock right there. He's going to catch Lucas here. Jossman, can he get the convert? And he is, because he's going to land right on top of Champion. His teammate is going to turn that down into a point there. Nice little pressure right here. Can they get this last player? Oh, these guys are hurt here, Zeke. You can see Mystics now getting pressured out. Nicholas also really hurt. They both have these players on whites here. Champion's going to get a huge chunk shot right there. He's going to get pumped. He's going to get traded out, though. That was really close. He's under the ramp. Does go for it again. Gauntless takes a shot right there. This player is not going down without a fight. Nicholas nearly clutching up.
I like that Gon here, the moment that he fell down, he placed the ramp as like a defensive measure, but it was like guaranteeing that this enemy player could not send a shot out with their shotgun. Because if they had, it's very possible he could have been one pump depending on what shotgun they had, or at least definitely chunked out Gon. But they worked it out, right? Like, and now they have access to all their loot. And they're probably feeling pretty good after being the ones that like kind of won the hill and seeing the next zone. They're like right there on the edge. So they just want to take a moment, kind of recoup. They have plenty of things like the splashes. We've got the campfire ticking here as well. But the campfire is going to be a pretty big telling fact to everyone else around them. Like, hey, there's someone wounded in here to the point where they have to burn a campfire, right? So looks like no one's going to contest.
There's still plenty of loot, too. There's still plenty of loot.
Knuckles.
So Knuckles comes in. He had no health. It's going to be such a freebie for them. He kind of just handed that one over. He said, hey, I'm right here. Come take me out, man. Take this point. He's back to the lobby right away. And that's just a beautiful pickup for them at this point. Now they have tons of material to spare at that point, being that they just got a nice drop up for themselves. And look at this loadout. He's got 4 shockwaves. He's got the heals. He's got the infantry rifle. It's quite the loadout right here. It's somewhat of a pack-a-punch loadout, I like to call it, because it's all offense. Pump shotgun, infantry rifles, no fast-fire weapons in his loadout.
Yeah, and with the unvaulting of the silenced AR, it looks like they're going to opt to leave it behind. I like this. Dude, I was literally going to say, I love, and once we vaulted, I was like, man, I missed that weapon so much. It's so precise. It's very deadly in the right hands. But they're saying, you know what? We don't need it. We've got our gold infantry rifle. That is what we're going to make do with. I'm curious to see now where we go here. Where is the next zone? We're about to be revealed here in just 2 seconds. All right, so more closer inward, of Loot Lake. Gonna see.
Oh, look at this. They're lining up the double snipe.
Didn't come
Looks like
through.
it was just a snipe AR follow-up. He didn't quite connect, though. What a valiant effort there. Santos, Only, and Lucan here just kind of hanging out. A little test fire on the weapon there. Not quite sure what happened for a second.
He was just shooting out in the world. Hey, pow pow. Yeah, we're here. We're dangerous.
A couple shots out there.
You know what's interesting though? Based on like where we are, don't forget there is that kind of dome around the very central part of that infinite rift there in the middle. And if you're walking through that, you will be in low gravity. So kind of navigating around this can be difficult, right? Like if you're jumping, you're going to be a huge target, right? Because those arcs are very easy to track. So if they're going to opt to like make this rotation, like they want to be trying their best not to jump. He's trying to find the last person. Oh.
Yeah, and he was actually using a strat where you go in the water and you kind of aim your camera up, try to see if you can, you know, single out this player, see if you can catch those pixels. He was right. Like, he was spot on, but Yoinkmeister kind of slid just out of that range, and he knows he's nearby. He saw him for a second before, so I guess he's figuring now, like, oh, there you are, buddy. Got behind the wall there, and oh man, he was so kitted out. Legendary AR, legendary shotguns. It's gonna be a big upgrade for this trio right here.
And now here we go, man. The circle's moving.
Oh,
they need to get themselves in.
Awkward. They're gonna go with the launch pad up and out. So that's a slow pad because of the, you know, rift effect from the zone there. I love what they're doing here. They're gonna mark up this rock. This rock is indestructible, so they can actually kind of poise up perfectly just beside it here. That's gonna set them up real nice for another zone. And they're in the middle. There's a good chance they'll get this next half in and half out zone, being that they're dead center right now.
Yeah, and I mean, in some instances, it's like, why did you burn a launch pad there to kind of get this rotation? But don't forget that it is low gravity, so it's going to give you like a higher arc, so you can actually get a little bit farther. I like that they did it. I hope they have a follow-up launch pad, but they do also have, you know, other utility items in their kits. We'll have to see how things go for them a little bit later on. Don't forget, top 12 is when the first round of placement points get divvied up. So we're where everyone else has to go and how they're going to try to move. We already see, like, there's a bunch of trios taking fights. They're on the right side of your screen. We see a bunch of people fall. So we're actually going back where we came from.
Oh, no.
This is
I'm out of love.
Yeah, that's why I mute kids like you.
I'm out of love. What? Oh, come on. I bet. What's in leg check or whatever his name is? I don't know.
No, son.
Oh, do it.
Dude, you're so annoying. You're fucking asset rapping. Your dad doesn't love you.
Oh,
Come on, Muppet Slayer, pussy. Come on, with it. You're annoying as fuck. You're a beat. I'll kill your fucking mom. Yeah, and you're in a...
ande. Oh. Mande.
¡Tarde! ¡Vamos a encontrar cerrado!
guys hear me? Whoa, don't come in. Here guys, let me go in the box. I'm gonna do Hello? No. Oh, don't kill me, don't kill me! Keep on. Oh, no. Oh, that was you? Guys, don't tell me. Getting wrong. God. Stop killing me. Let me in. Guys, don't kill me. Hello? Hello? Oh my god. Hello? Did you say shut up to me? Yeah. You didn't let me in anyway. Yeah. Will you let me in it now? Sorry. Guys. Build pyramids, build pyramids. That's so cool. Oh my gosh, this kid's stoned. I used to have a lot of skins, but God. I used to have a lot of skins, but I gave my time to my brother. past 9. Yeah. Coming. Hello? Hello? What's up? Hello? Hey. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Who is this? I know. I'm playing on my... But... How do you play like that? I didn't do this. Like, do you see my edit?